This is Cobalt Zeed. Today I'm going to show you something that many of you are going to think is a blast from the past. And indeed, I don't know that you see that many Hearts of Iron 3 gameplay anymore. It is a somewhat older game. I play this as I play a lot of things in a different way, and I wanted to just explain that briefly and show you just a little bit of this. I play Germany normally. The game is built that way, so it's an obvious choice. Yes, I have it on easy mode, so I'm an easy moder. One of my issues with the way I've seen people play this game is that because some of the expansions that came out, I'm not going to talk about all of them, but you can set up theaters. Sorry, my mouse thing is a little fast. But like this is a first core, for example. And you can see that by clicking on that, you all know this, anybody who knows anything about this game. It shows all the attached divisions. You can do this all the way up to theater level, which like essentially this is a theater level. And then you can have a whole theater, i.e. like for this Polish campaign, which I'm not quite ready to start. I could have a theater control of the whole thing. What a lot of people do, this frustrates me immensely, because what a lot of people do is they set up their theaters and then they just set it. The game can automatically control theaters if you want. They set their theaters up and then the game just plays them itself. And then I have no idea what the people so-called playing the game do. Maybe they go take a nap or they watch a TV show and they come back and like, oh, we conquered Russia, or we didn't, or whatever. I don't understand why. When you have a game that is, by most people's opinion, the most complicated military simulator that pretty much ever existed, that's an arguable point, but we won't argue that now. And you set it up on auto mode, and then you just. I've seen videos of this where the whole war is over in like 10 minutes, because they maybe not 10, but they set it up. They set up their theaters. They put it on the fastest speed possible, and then boom, 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 oh look, I won! Yay! Hooray me! Oh mommy, daddy, I won World War II as Germany. You didn't do a fucking thing. Excuse my language. So, that always bothers me. So, let me talk about how I play this game. First of all, because I always have these things in games, I've reduced it to sort of a formula. And that formula is complicate, 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 simplify. Because I always reach a point where I've complicated too much, and then I pull back one step. In this game, you see I've got all these big HQs here. What I do is I have a GHQ, General Headquarters. That's not the German term for it, and I don't really care. And then I have a Chief of Staff. So GHQ is the overall leader. It's kind of like Hitler, right? Hitler's not really modeled in the game, but it's kind of like Hitler. It's like the supreme commander. Then I have a Chief of Staff, who is like an assistant, a Deputy Chief of Staff, obviously. And then I have a bunch of other staff positions like Staff Judge Advocate, the Personnel Officer. This guy's in charge of all promotions up to Field Marshal level in my rules. My rules, by the way, I have 3 subparts of rules. I have a policy manual and I have a regulation kind of manual. Those 2 are almost 50 pages. If you're interested and want to look at them, let me know. And then I have kind of an appendix document which has lots of thoughts about how best to handle promotions or things like that. Altogether, it's over 60 or 70 pages. That's what I mean by complicate, complicate. My third complicate was I tried to do this once with using the IC, industrial capacity. So the industrial capacity right now is 237. So applying that by 1,000, we had 237,000, whatever unit of money you want to call it, to spend during this year. And then every unit, like this infantry division, costs 10.52 IC, so it costs 10 $1,520. And then we had to pay officers and etc. And then there was a bank and stuff. And I reached the point of, well, okay, I've gone too far, so I cut that back. And that was my simplify step. We have an so the personnel guy, we have an inspector general, then we have a deputy staff judge advocate. I court-martial a lot of people for fucking things up, basically. So if I don't have an army yet, but say I put an army and there's some dude in charge of an army that includes the 1st Corps, and then I have an SS Corps, and then like this kind of, it's sort of a reserve corps. I put an army in charge of that, and they totally screw up the conquering of Poland. Well, I court-martial the shit out of the commander of the army. I have a legal background, so court-martials and stuff, I just love doing that. That's going to sound strange, but I enjoy that a lot. So I have all these staff officers. This is basically a representation of the German general staff. And then they essentially control different things. So like the personnel I've already talked, IG does what an IG does. He kind of, on his own, I say he, representing that all of these are played by me, right? So you have to kind of dissociate yourself a little bit. But the inspector general can just, if there's an army here and he thinks he just wants to check up on it, he can see how they're doing, how they're communicating with their subunits, are they issuing orders and whatnot, and then do reports that can be either the SJA then can bring a court-martial if he feels appropriate, or etc. GHQ, I said, is the overall leader. Then usually, I don't have it yet, I do have an SS Corps. I bounce back and forth whether there should be a separate SS or not. I don't know right now. And I usually have what I call an Imperial Guard, which is ahistorical, and they usually become kind of one of the most powerful units that we have. I'm already gearing up for conflict in France here, as you can see. I go through lots of permutations on like how to promote. It's really easy to have, finish the war with France, say, and you have 2 or 3 generals who did really well. So, okay, or lieutenant generals or whatever. It's really easy to promote them. But I try to develop kind of standards for doing that. I have to say one thing I love about this game is that you can promote, but you can also demote. So if Schubert here really does a bad job, I can court-martial him, and as part of the court-martial, he can be demoted back down to Major General. You can't do that in most war games. A lot of war games let you promote officers. Almost none, except for this one, let you demote them. It's one of the reasons I like this game as much as I do. I roll through games like this pretty often. This is my 10th game. I've only just started this. You can see it's February 1936. It's my 10th game in the last 3 or 4 years. Once a quarter maybe, or sometimes I'll skip for a while. I'll play, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto Online so much lately. I need to get another video out on that. But so that's just what I do. And then, instead of playing on super fast mode, I normally, in 1936, there's not much going on. I'm waiting for production to come out, and deploy more units and stuff like that. By the way, I normally don't condone cheating in games. I cheat like crazy in this game to the effect that, what's getting low up here? What is that? Fuel's getting low. If my fuel gets low, I just cheat. Or supplies get low. So I don't worry about the economy at all. I have enough time bothering with everything else. And by the way, one of the changes that is in my rules is that all the divisions, I keep what I call a battle book on every division. It records every attack, basically every move, every delay. It records pretty much everything. Is one of the main things I look at. If I think, for example, von Mossau hasn't done up to snuff, and I'm thinking about court-martialing him, maybe the IG will investigate the 2nd Panzer and one of the main things I look at is the so-called battle book, which keeps track of. So if today we were declaring war on Poland and it's attacking Wronki, then, in the battle book it would say 0800 February 36 attacked Wronki. And then 2-3 days later or whatever, it would be, waiting for attack delay, etc., etc. Those get hugely lengthy, by the way. But this is just how I play this game. Now you can see I have nothing up here. What I normally do, this is probably what everybody normally does. I normally attack Poland first. And you can see with my sort of reserve corps, these are really small units. That's a deliberate thing. I spent a lot of time analyzing how many kind of smallish units would I need overall. Like after I've conquered France and Poland and maybe Czechoslovakia and Austria has joined us or whatever, how many smallish units do I need kind of in reserve just to guard things? And what I came up with was this idea of these small little, I call them regiments. They're really there is no such thing as a regiment in Hearts of Iron 3, but I call them regiments just to distinguish them from the normal divisions. They're all the same. They all have an infantry and artillery. They're actually fairly strong, considering their size. They can't attack all that well, but they're pretty good on defense. And here I have some SS brigades, or divisions rather. And some of these are historical. If you just play the vanilla game, so to speak, there will be a corps over here, and it'll be the something army corps, and these will be different units. I just change them. I have my game set up so that when I start a game, it starts with these already there, and from that point I go on and I start building my actual divisions. What I have going here is a few divisions, and then I screw up. I don't know if you ever do this. I got some motorized brigades because I thought that these SS corps weren't full corps yet, but they are, so I'll just end up adding those. So what I did is I made some smaller 3 brigade. I usually make 4 brigade divisions, just because that makes sense to me. Sometimes I make 3. It varies a lot. Anyway, I didn't want this to be too long. This is just a short video to talk about what I do and how I do it. Sorry you don't see actually much gameplay at all in this. But like I said, it's World War. It's 1936, and I can sit here for a long time before anything happens. So I normally go at a faster speed in 1936, and if something does happen, then I pause it. It's a fun game. If you haven't played it in a while, maybe dig it out and set up like an IG and a staff judge advocate and just court-martial the shit out of people who aren't doing what you think they should do. It's great fun. Oh, and I usually I don't have any yet, but I usually, once I conquer France or maybe Spain joins me or I get units down here somewhere, I'll often set up what I call punitive units that are just small, dinky. They don't serve any point except for ways for me to punish people by saying, 1 year into the punitive unit for you, and then they go sit there, and basically it's like a dead-end job in a sense that they don't do anything. I think too much about this. I know I think too much about lots of things, but that just is who I am. So I don't know if you'll enjoy this or not, but this is just me saying how I do this. Again, I said this already, but if you are at all interested in what my rules are, just send me an email and I will send you a copy of them. I have no problem with that. And otherwise, this has been Cobalt Zeed, and I will talk to you soon.